NASA, going nowhere since 1958. If you've been paying any attention to the world around you, you have easily realized that almost everything is a lie. Dare I say, a conspiracy. The world is not at all what it seems. Some may see it, many do not. But to understand one lie, you need to recognize a few. We need to think of all the lies around us, because every piece of the American way of life has sold out to corruption, big business, and government. The media narrative and hypocrisy runs deep as they go about their business of easily corrupting minds with constant propaganda, to the point now where every news piece and story has been distorted beyond recognition. And yes, even science has been tainted. Let's just consider some of the many lies, like sugar, marijuana, and tobacco science, or public water fluoridation into human-caused global warming and climate change science. How about GMOs and Monsanto, which is now owned by Bayer, which leads to big pharma and medicine, drug makers keeping you sick rather than healing you, flu shots and vaccines rather than the medicinal use and healing power of plants, which makes them no money, a healthy diet instead of low-fat snack cakes and packaged foods that are just making us fat and sick, bringing fear porn with infectious diseases, measles outbreaks, and Ebola, which fuels the healthcare industry and medical malpractice. Biotech, pesticides, the EPA, and the lies continue onto the oil industry and free energy, down to the very education system that teaches it, as well as a false history, pushing Big Bang and evolution as science, with their dinosaur and missing link frauds, or teaching Common Core, simply public indoctrination programs. And then you have the college admission scams, and the universities creating huge student debt, putting people deeply indebted to the Federal Reserve banking system, which isn't even federal, onto the stock market, financial scams, and the rest of the lies. All of this in a free society, while being watched and tracked and managed by Google, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even censored on YouTube, while Hollywood continues to corrupt the mind, pushing some alien agenda and a satanic message. And the music industry isn't far behind with their corruption. How about the kidnapping and human trafficking with child sex exploitation and the sexualization of minors, while pedophiles go free because of a corrupt justice system of lawyers, courts, and judges that speak another language altogether. All of it leads back to the government, which fuels the mainstream media with their hypocrisy and fake news stories. Every government agency is entirely corrupt and weaponized against the people. The IRS, the NSA, the NSF, FTC, CDC, DOD, EPA, etc. And who owns and operates the fake media juggernauts? Well, our very own CIA, who has been deeply involved with all the newspapers and magazines, just see Operation Mockingbird, pushing propaganda constantly with their incessant mainstream narrative, including press releases from government agencies, universities, corporations, and companies getting rich off government contracts. How about the false flags and covert government operations? Just see Northwoods, Gulf of Tonkin, Operation Paperclip, and thousands of others. The entire political scene with election fraud and dishonest polls, the whole left versus right two-party system, pitting citizens against each other, or the entire CIA involvement in the military-industrial complex, as more war, more conflict equals more money and more growth. Or the so-called war on drugs. Our own federal government has been engaged in a shady operation of alliances with the world's largest drug cartels. Our incarceration percentage has grown by 6 times since Nixon declared a war on drugs in 1971. When planes took arms to the Contras in Nicaragua, these same planes returned with cocaine, shielded from law enforcement by the CIA. Yeah, an illegal drug trade. Just another pointless sham proving our own CIA is engaged with criminals and is criminal itself. Just look at the weapons and arms dealings of the CIA while actively trying to take yours. The constant barrage of lies and deceptions like the official 9/11 story and the government-run commissions. So many lies, and I could do a film on each one of those separately, and perhaps I will. But this film asks you one important question. If they lie to you about all that, if they have deceived you at every possible turn, what makes you think that they're telling you the truth about space? You see, sometimes people want to know the truth, but many times they do not. They like the idea of truth, but not the actual, real truth. When it comes to the United States space program, however, in my opinion, people certainly don't want the truth. They want the lore, the ideals, that patriotic feeling, the ideas of space travel, trillions and trillions of miles, American dominance and ingenuity, and the brilliant minds of mankind coming together to do the impossible. It's our destiny to be in the stars. This has always been the reason for space, making dreams come true, inspiring children and adults to do more, to strive for more, to reach for the stars, and to achieve the impossible. In this movie, I will explain my opinion of space and space travel. I will talk about what I think space is and isn't, and to do so, I'll talk about the past 11 presidents as well as the current president, Donald Trump. I'll go through the list of presidents and show that they have all cared little for space travel other than national prestige, and the reason for this, I believe, is multifaceted. I believe NASA to be little more than a jobs program, mixed with some research and development, focusing on engineering and technology. They also sell a fantasy and a worldview to the population. They instill pride and wonder, but what they haven't done and don't do is go anywhere. Hence the name of this film, NASA Going Nowhere Since 1958. Now, I could go deep into the various space-related deceptions and pick apart NASA films scene by scene, and while I'll do a little of that, this film is much different. Maybe I'll do other films on the various lies and pseudoscience pushed by the space agency, but this film will go president by president, give a little background, and show that it has always been and continues to be a back-and-forth game of sorts, where NASA can blame the president and the president can blame NASA, in the end allowing research and jobs to continue while ultimately going nowhere. Of course, we're going to spend most of our time on Kennedy and Nixon, especially since this month has been the 50th anniversary of quite possibly the largest deception ever pulled on the people of this earth. The nonsense assertion that 50 years ago, NASA sent men to the moon. Many people may not agree with anything I say throughout this film, and that's okay. I don't agree with most of what I hear in the mainstream media. That's because I'm looking for the truth and not just the story I'm supposed to believe. If you don't agree with me or see things a different way, well, it could be because you trust the mainstream media, meaning you do believe what you're supposed to believe, what this world wants you to believe. In which